All right, everybody, here we are. Just me and Michael today. Greg's
Yep.
out of town taking a much-needed vacation. He's
Mhm.
working hard, and he's away, which we're glad. We can talk about him today, though.
Yeah. What do you
Of
have
course,
to
his
say
mom.
about him?
Of course, his mom's probably listening, so she'll tell him.
Well, she's probably heard it all before.
She might add to it if we called her up. I will say, Greg's mom gets an undue amount of attention on this podcast.
Yeah.
She really does.
Yeah.
She really does.
Yeah. we brought her up several times.
Yeah,
Brought her
'cause-
up in my message.
She is a precious lady. She raised
Yeah.
Greg. She's got to be a precious lady. But here we are, another episode. I had a good weekend this weekend, and good bunch of people that I love being with. I really do.
Yeah, it was great. It was a full Sunday for sure. It felt really crowded, especially in that middle one. Of course, I'm a horrible judge of crowd. Some people can just look out into a crowd and say, "Oh, there's about 400 people in here."
You just
I've
don't
never
know.
had that
It's
ability.
hard. You know, we have 4 services divided out, one
Yeah.
on Thursday and 3 on Sunday. So it's hard to gauge because sometimes it'll look big or small from the pulpit, and then you had a bunch of kids or a bunch of people that you know didn't count on, and so July has been just really booming for us. We have not seen a slump at all in July.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's been
great.
really, really cool to see. But this week we started a new series on a guy that the early church called James the Just. That was his thinking, and we explored the surprising bit of knowledge that you get out of the Gospels is that Jesus' earthly brothers didn't initially believe in him.
Mm-hmm.
Those
Yeah.
right in his own house didn't. And the message turned into something that I didn't anticipate coming into the series.
Yeah.
We started this series really as a character study of James, but when you start looking at the story, I realized as soon as I started digging into this passage about James going from a skeptic to a believer that it had an incredible application to parents whose children are skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
And that is huge in our day.
Yeah.
I hear it all the time from people right here in the church family. It's typically somebody, you know, who's in their 40s, 50s, 60s, something like that, and their kids are around college age, some a little older, some in their careers, you know, already. But I'm hearing from parents all the time that their children are, you know, the word is deconstructing, you know. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, and I have not studied deconstructing a whole lot to know all that it entails, but it feels like, as I picture it, you know, they've built this house of thinking and faith, and they're just taking it down one bit at a time. And I think there are things in our spiritual life and in our faith that we have to unlearn. There's some definitely in church, you're going to get hurt, and you're going to learn some things that you grow up and say, yeah, I don't see it that way. But to tear the whole house down, and that's what we're hearing, children who are saying, you know, don't want anything to do with my faith anymore. Tons of things, the political climate that we live in right now. I cannot tell you how many parents I've heard that their children call and say, I can't, and I'm just going to say it, I can't believe you voted for that guy. If you voted for that guy, I want nothing to do with you anymore. And they just cut him off because of who they voted for president.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard a ton of that going on, and I thought, my goodness, how in the world do you let a presidential election determine whether or not you have a relationship with your family? You know what I mean? So it's such a polarized world we live in.
Yeah.
And so many parents are facing that right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a very real example of, one of our camera volunteers, his brother cut him off for that exact or like not even necessarily that exact reason. It was an assumed like, you're a part of this group, so you must have voted this way, and because I think you did that, you're now out of my life.
So he doesn't even know who he voted for. He just he
just guessed.
You're out
and said no contact with you, so they don't talk anymore.
Wow.
Because of that, despite efforts from this person. So there is a lot. You said it good. There is a lot of polarizing opinion, but and a lot of people. The opinions are so public now that everybody kind of knows everybody's opinion, whether they want to hear it or not, and that can lead to a lot of
well, everybody's posting their opinion on everything all the time now. Most people
we've talked about that a lot, but
I think anytime you come to a conversation, it's like, okay, you hold this point of view, so we can't have a relationship anymore.
Yeah.
That's normally, a lot of times anyway, that's just a bad move.
Yeah, totally.
I think we ought to be able to, and I get there are things, I guess, that I would say, yeah, I can't have a relationship with you if you believe that.
Maybe some really extreme,
but they would be extreme.
Or,
I mean, they would be, you know, I don't know. I don't even want to come up with an illustration, but
if you believe you're gonna beat me up if I say something wrong, I'm probably not gonna have a relationship.
If you believe murder is acceptable, then we're not hanging out.
Yeah.
Or if a person's just toxic to you, I've talked about this a lot. If a person's toxic and they're just ugly and dragging you down all the time, I'm not.
That's not even a belief.
You. That's just an attitude.
Yeah.
But I feel like I can be friends with people who completely disagree with my faith, completely disagree with my politics, completely disagree with my views on maybe gender and sexuality and all that sort of thing. That's a hot topic. It's not everything, but it's a hot topic today. I can be friends with people who completely disagree with me on that. And I like to think we could sit down at a table together and talk about it and just say, yeah, we don't agree on this. Yeah. Let's find some things we do agree on, and let's try to move forward. But a lot of people in our day just can't.
Yeah.
And
if you can't after a conversation land on like, hey, I think this because of this, you think this because of this, and we have a disagreement about this. But at the end of the day, when we get up from this table, like, we're going to be friends and connected. If you can't do that, then you've probably tied that thing too close to your identity, unless it is something that's super important. But like, if you've tied like a political party that close to your identity, then it's too close to your identity.
The other thing that happens to us in the internet world that we live in, this cloud that's almost like another world that we deal with. We've got face-to-face stuff, but we got the cloud out here of the world that we're living in. Your behavior, there's algorithms there that send you more of what you like.
Yeah.
So whatever you do, whatever it is, the YouTube, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, whatever you stop on and look at, it records that and sends you more of it. So the idea is the echo chamber that you're in just keeps growing, and you keep hearing more of it. You know, if I go on YouTube, I tend to not see a lot of stuff that disagrees with me because they want me to watch their stuff, so they're going to send
it's all
things
about
that
getting
agree.
a
So you
view.
just keep getting reinforced more and more to your view, and your influence, the circle and sphere of influence that you live in, just keeps getting more narrow.
Yeah.
And then when you get outside of that and realize there are people who disagree with you, it's almost a shock.
Yeah.
We've got the ability on social media to unfollow someone.
Oh, yeah.
And I do that from time to time. If someone's just spouting all the time stuff that just ticks me off, I just unfollow. I try not to scroll it very much, but sometimes I just say I'm just turning that person off because I don't want to see their rant all the time. You know,
I laugh at people who will complain about, or I see a lot of people online at least complaining about like X or Twitter, and it's like this hateful place. All I get is these controversial posts, and a huge reason is because you're interacting with them. And if you didn't, I don't see any of that but a big reason to that is because you're interacting with that stuff and you're clicking on it. So the machine knows that you secretly like it, because you like getting riled up, and you like.
Well, let's be honest about it. There are times we've searched out people before to see what their latest drama is.
Yeah, of course.
I mean? People who post drama all the time, you can almost become this little stalker saying, "Wonder what they're ranting about today."
Yeah.
You go look at it, you're going to see more of them. But the danger is we can just unfollow. We can just silence voices there that disagree with us, and we can just get so much in our little narrow point of view that we just lose the ability to have any type of relationships with anybody, sometimes even outside the cloud at all. But we lose the ability to have a relationship with people we disagree with. There's not that interchange, the face-to-face thing, you know. And so it's created this world that we just cut people off. And the heartbreaking thing, and I see these parents, it isn't always political. Sometimes it's just kids were raised in church and had some church hurt. And anybody that's been in church long enough is going to have a bit of church hurt. Yeah. Somebody failed. Somebody wasn't all that you had built them up to be in your mind, and somebody did wrong. And the fact that it happened in church just makes it feel a whole lot worse because it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
And then you build this narrative up in your mind where you just want to cut everybody off, and it's so sad. But I see the hurt in a lot of people's eyes, and I hear it in their voice when parents tell me their children are just not following Jesus. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to talk about yesterday the fact that Joseph and Mary's at least 6 children. They're mentioned 4 brothers, and they're mentioned sisters, so they at least had 2 sisters. So Jesus did. So he had at least 6 siblings, and it said his brothers specifically did not believe in him. And I just thought, when I read that, I thought, wow, what must Joseph and Mary have been feeling at that moment to have the Messiah and 6 regular kids, and at least 4 of those regular kids did not believe in their older brother's calling as the Son of God. So I thought, and I said it yesterday, if you're doing better than 1 out of 7, you got a better record right now than the nativity scene parents, So the people laughed at that, but there's some truth in that, really, that Joseph and Mary could have felt like a failure. And I just really felt like this weekend was about lifting the shame of failure off of parents, because there's only so much you can do to lead your children to Jesus. Yeah. And you make mistakes, and it's funny, here we are talking, you are the recipient of some of my mistakes. I never did stuff yet, I never did stuff I said yet, and I pray that I never do, that blow up the family or just create incredible crisis. But my goodness, I made mistakes, your mom made mistakes, and you and your sister kept following Jesus. One of the things I love the most, that both of my children are in ministry, and I never saw that coming. I really didn't. I knew both of you were very capable and gifted and talented, but the fact that both of you are involved in church ministry really makes me feel good.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Way to go.
I'm happy about that.
How'd you stay a Christian? You might ask this question.
Yeah, sure.
How'd you stay a Christian being a pastor's son and being in church all the time? Because you and your sister were in church. You took your naps in church. You were woke up in church. You were in church your whole lives. That's all y'all have ever known. How'd you stay in it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Bottom line is it's everybody's own decision to do that. Like, regardless of your upbringing, I obviously think there are advantages to being in church so often, and in a good church. Sometimes if you're in a bad church, it can be a disadvantage. But at the end of the day, it's everybody's own decision, and you guys did a good job too of not like I don't know, specific, like the whole pastor's kid kind of template. A lot of them, you feel like they either go super crazy or they go like super not crazy, and they're, so sheltered. But I thought you guys did a good job of walking the line of that, where I never felt ultra sheltered or anything. Like I couldn't do anything because I was the pastor's kid. But we also didn't go the other way where, I felt the need to rebel or anything like that. But I think I don't know. It's hard for me to compare to anybody else's experience to my own, but at the end of the day, it's everybody's own decision with the gospel and what you do with Jesus. And I was around it more, so perhaps it was definitely easier for me to come to that decision because I was surrounded by people who were accepting of that and everything. But at the end of the day, it's like, even when I was at school or like when I went away to college, like that stuff really has to become your own. And I was not one of these kids that like went crazy when I left. I held true to my values for the most part, I think. So so I'm not sure.
Pastors' kids are kind of legendary for rebelling, and I think it comes from a couple things. Sometimes you raise preachers' kids the pastors' ministry leaders can feel like their kids have to be these perfect kids, or it invalidates their ministry. And your mom specifically was very protective over that you and your sister were just regular kids in church, that you were not seen as the pastor's kids. And we didn't put pressure on you that because we're the pastor here that you've got to be this sterling example of everything, because y'all did stupid stuff, not big time, but y'all were kids, you know what I mean? You never blew us up, but you did some typical kid stuff, and we just let it be that. And so your mom guarded a lot. I remember your mom guarded everybody calling you Michael. The reason you're called Michael today, you'd be Mike everywhere, but your mom would fix that in a heartbeat. Don't you call him Mike, he's Michael. So your mom was really good at guarding that in your relationship, and kind of letting you be kids and not have to be shining examples of perfection.
Yeah, we never felt that. I never felt pressured like, oh, I've got to act like. I felt pressure to act a certain way because of my beliefs, not because I was your son or like, and that's a big difference. Because if you feel pressured to act a certain way because your parent is a certain way, like once you leave their influence or you leave their bubble, you don't have that motivation to act that way anymore. So
we made the decision as well to, and this might be controversial, but we made the decision for y'all to put you in a Christian school growing up, and never regretted that. And we have tons of, before anybody gets upset, we have tons of public school teachers right here at Upward, and we love them and are heroic, and I love so many people in the Henderson County Public Schools are wonderful, and we're partnering with them and a multi-campus and love it. So I'm not anti-public school, but we just felt like for you that we really wanted to put you in a school that would encourage your Christian faith. And then you left there, you went to Veritas, and you left there and went to Liberty University, because I remember being very staunch about it with you guys growing up. I'm not paying for you to go somewhere that'll destroy your faith.
And the good thing, I mean, also, you did say that, but also neither of us wanted that. Like me nor Daniela wanted to go to we only, I don't know about maybe Danielle, but I'm pretty sure I only applied to Christian schools, and she probably did too. But that was not like a big, like when you were telling us that, it was not a big like, oh, why are you like handcuffing me? It's like we wanted that. Yeah. So that's the good sign of that, that you didn't really have to force that upon us. So we would have chosen it.
Well, thank y'all both for turning out so well and for staying faithful. It's made life so good for us to be able to watch y'all grow up and experience all that. But I just wanted to encourage the parents this weekend to let the shame be lifted off of them, because nobody's perfect. You do the best you can with your kids. You get them in church. You prioritize your relationship with Jesus and let them see that. Yeah. Teach them as you walk through life. Walk through it with them, and then trust God. And so we talked about say no to guilt. We talked about trusting in God's timing, because people come around in time. The seed you sown in them spring up over time. And then lastly, just the big thing, let's believe for a miracle. Yeah. James changed when he saw the resurrected Christ. Yeah. And it's very special to me, and it was a lot of people. I saw a lot of tears when I brought up this point. I saw one guy in the congregation, when we brought this point, he was just weeping out there, and it touched my heart that Jesus appeared to his own little brother, one-on-one. You have the big, it's 1 Corinthians 15 when Paul's talking about the resurrection. Mm-hmm. He appeared to 500 people, but then it says, and he appeared to James. I know there's a lot of James in the New Testament, but Bible scholars are pretty convinced that that's James, his brother. So he made the journey from skeptic to believer.
Yeah. You mentioned this too about some people have to take the long way around.
They do.
And that was an example for James. Like,
they do.
James grew up in the household with Jesus, as close as you can be to, I mean, like how could you get any closer to following the right example? But he still, and God and Jesus knew this, he needed to see some more things. And the good news is God's doing that same thing to each one of our children. Every person out there, God has a path in mind for them of like, this is what this person needs to see, needs to hear, and we just have to pray that when God reveals those things to them, that they're accepting of that. But it's not the same journey for everybody.
It's not.
It's not. Yeah.
Some of us are stubborn, and we have to go through some things, but you got to know that the seed that you plant in them young is there.
Yeah.
And something's going to hit that they're going to need that, and God's going to open their hearts and show himself.
I really liked when you said bulldog faith.
Yeah.
Was that from anywhere?
Jumped in my heart. I think God just dropped it in my heart.
That's not a quote from anybody?
Nope, not that I know of.
It'd be a pretty, when you said it, I was like, pretty good book number 2 title.
Really?
Just
Bulldog
keep that
faith.
in mind.
Yeah, I'm talking with publishers. I just left a meeting with our publisher. We're working on a new book, or my first one, called Keep the Change. Yeah, it's coming soon. If I was a little faster at getting my edits done, I've got a wonderful editor I'm working with, and if I was a little faster, it might be much closer to done, but it's coming along well. It's called Keep the Change, and it's the subtitle is Transforming Your Community Through Radical Generosity.
Oh, yeah.
And that's been a real story at Upward, so it's being published by a new branch of our church called Upward Media, and we're publishing it, and it will tell the story of how God has changed us and begun to touch our community through radical generosity, and that will be coming out hopefully in the fall if I can get it ahead.
It'll be available on Amazon everywhere too.
It'll be
people that are not here.
It will start in hardcover.
Yeah,
we'll do a few weeks there. We'll be on Amazon. We will have copies here. It'll move to softcover, paperback after that, and it will be available audio
book as well.
Audio as well.
Yeah,
it's coming.
Exciting. So, but just keep bulldog faith in the think chamber.
We were talking today about
for a good number 2. I think it'd be cool.
Who's going to do the audio, and I'm meeting with the publishers, and I'm like, will my Southern accent work for the be read by the author?
What did they say about that? They say anything?
They think it will. They feel really good about it. Okay. So they want it to be as authentic as
possible. So you think you're going to read it?
I guess so, yeah.
Well, we'll decide it.
There will be an audiobook, and it'll be on Amazon as soon as it publishes. So we're looking forward to it. And we just want to tell the story of what God's done here. It's not about look at me or look at us. It's about, hey, you can do this. So we're really we're really putting it out there for pastors and ministry leaders to say, no matter where you are, if your church is large or small or in between any of that, you can do this. So it'll be coming soon. So
I feel great about it.
Bulldog Faith should be our next one. Huh?
I think it sounds pretty good.
Yeah. They were talking to me already today about what's number 2 and what's number 3. Let's publish some more. So
look at the response in the room on Sunday from, we talk how many parents are feeling that way, and I think I think that'd be a great resource for them.
Good idea.
But we'll see. I don't know.
Well, thank y'all for being with us again for the podcast. We'll be back next week. We'll be talking about James next week, and he became the key leader in the early church. They went through this crisis in the early church where some of the Judaizers, they called them, were coming in saying you got to be a perfect Jew and keep the law to be a Christian. And James stepped up and with a lot of help. But he took a key role in what's called the Jerusalem Council. We'll be looking at that this week, and there's a lot of applications for leaders in this, so it'll be fun.
Lutherans, watch out. No, I'm just kidding.
The Jerusalem Council, not the Lutheran Council.
No, I don't think they don't like James, right? Did I mess that up?
Well, I don't know. You've jumped into a whole other pond.
Yeah.
Martin Luther had some issues with the book of James.
I'm joking around. I've got Lutheran friends.
Yeah, Martin Luther fought against James a bit. Yes. All right. Now that we open that up again, we'll see y'all next week.
We'll just end the podcast really quick.
All right. Bye-bye.